Since the 1920s, Volvo has been one of the leading manufacturers in terms of automotive safety, and they've been designing their cars specifically for that purpose. And with safety being their top priority, I felt that not much effort was put in the design department of Volvo. However, things have changed substantially over the last few years, and here's an example. This is the XC40, Volvo's smallest SUV yet, rivaling the BMW X1, Audi Q3 and Jaguar E-Pace. Now in this review, we'll be taking a closer look at the interior and exterior of the XC40, as well as taking on a test drive on these beautiful mountain roads. What is up you guys, Master Cars Diva here, and today we've got the brand new 2019 Volvo XC40. The Volvo XC40 was released in late 2017 and can be optioned from 3 different trim levels: Momentum, R Design and Inscription. Our T5 all-wheel drive Momentum is finished in black stone paint and gorgeous Oxide Red leather seats. Starting price of the XC40 in Lebanon is $57,000. Now stepping into the XC40, you're welcome with this fancy and comfortable Swedish interior. It all feels nice and familiar to other new cars. You've got a display here and a touchscreen in the center, until you dig deep into the details. It's all beautifully done with the extensive use of high quality leather and fine aluminum pieces here and there. Now there's a lot of attention to the smallest details in this car that you don't see in, for example, the German brands in this segment. I personally am a big fan of this particular spec with this very bright Oxide Red, which works really good with the black exterior. Oh, and one more thing guys, it would be really nice if you could follow me on Instagram. I'll be posting more pictures of the cars I review, as well as recommendations. If you'd like to see any cars, I'll be posting that. Now let's go ahead and check out more of this interior. So starting off with the steering wheel, you've got the 3-spoke multifunction leather wrap steering wheel. You've got the controls for the infotainment screen on the right and the instrument cluster in the middle. You have a Volvo emblem right here, which looks really good. You have stitchings around this leather. You have very high quality leather for the steering wheel. I really like that. And going on to the instrument cluster, of course this is all digital and you can actually change the color of the gauges through the controls. We're going to be showing you in a few, but you can do that. And you've got your air vents, which are really simple in this car, but they do the job great. And then coming on to the center console right here, you've got the 9-inch touchscreen. It's really responsive. Going through the menus, it's really nice. You have this home button here. We're going to be scrolling through that later in the video, but there's that. And below here you have your volume knob, you have your hazards and all of that, driving modes through this button here. You have the comfort, individual, dynamic and all of that. It's really interesting. And coming on here, you have 2 USB ports with a cigarette lighter and wireless phone charging. It's really nice. And you have storage space on each side. And then coming on to the gear shifter, which is a weird gear shifter. It's a bit small. It's a normal gear shifter with all the gears, but looks really nice with the leather and stitchings. You have 2 cup holders, electronic parking brake and the auto hold. Fortunately, Volvo offers a lot of standard equipment in the XC40. You get a customizable 12.3-inch TFT instrument display, as well as a 9-inch ported touchscreen, which is user-friendly once you get used to it. And because the touchscreen can catch quite a lot of fingerprints, Volvo gives you a cleaning cloth to wipe your screen. As for storage space goes in the XC40, you have your center console, which is very deep. Actually, you can put a lot of stuff. And a very interesting thing that you have also in this car is this bin, which you can remove simply to store that, and if you don't need it, you have more storage. So that's quite a nice feature Volvo has thought of. Come on to the glove box. It has also a decent size. You can put a lot of stuff. And look at this interesting thing that you have a key to lock your glove box, and it stores right there. Now dormers are pretty good. You have a small cup holder for maybe small bottles of water, nothing much, but it's quite wide and it's all leather wrapped. As you can see here, we have a nice elbow rest. It's all leather wrapped and this beautiful trim that you have around the car. Now let's go ahead and check out the trunk of the XC40. Before the trunk, I wanted to show you guys the cool feature of the interior. For example, there's a drawer under the driver's seat and a small niche to store even more stuff. There are credit card slots on the left of the steering wheel and another hidden one just above the wireless charger. There's even a windshield ticket holder clip that's quite useful. In the glove box, there's a hook if you need it and an actual pen holder. Now coming on to the trunk of the XC40, you have 460 liters of boot space and it's fairly good. You can put a lot of stuff, and below that you have even more space for more stuff, and below that you have your spare tire. So you have a lot of storage space, and of course you have more cubby spaces here and there on the left and on the right. And of course you have got the hooks for your grocery stuff. Now let's go ahead and check out the engine of the XC40. Our T5 XC40 gets a 2-liter turbo 4, putting down 247 horsepower and 350 Nm of torque. The 1.6-ton chassis is capable of getting to 100 km an hour in 6.5 seconds, claims Volvo, thanks to its all-time all-wheel drive. The petrol all-wheel drive variants get the smooth 8-speed automatic transmission as standard, while the 6-speed manual is available for the front-wheel drive T3 and diesel models. Something that you don't usually see in many production cars is the use of polyurethane foam for the engine cover. It is light and sound absorbing and also cost effective to produce. And because it's a Volvo we're talking about, the foam also serves as a passive safety feature, making it safer in case of a pedestrian crash. Now speaking of crash, the XC40 was given a 5 stars in the Euro NCAP crash tests. It scored an impressive 97% for adult occupant protection, making it safer than the BMW X1, Jaguar E-Pace and new Range Rover Evoque. You can check a detailed report from the Euro NCAP through the link in the description. Now getting into the backseat of the XC40, I'm 185 centimeters and legroom is pretty good. You have a lot of space. Also have cubby spaces here and there. You have 2 air vents with a 12-volt power outlet down below. Now here you have a small hump, so it's not very comfortable for the people sitting in the middle to put their feet. They're going to be putting them here and there. But you have also some storage space here with, of course, some storage space on the door bin, which is deep but not very wide. I'm a big fan of the way these headrests are designed. And then here you can open up, you have your armrest with 2 cup holders. And would you look at this leather, wow, I'm a really big fan of this red leather. And would you look at the interior, what do you guys think of the interior of the XC40? Make sure to comment in the comment section below. Now let's take a quick walk around of the XC40. Now first of all, coming on to the front fascia, you have this very nice grille with the chrome accents around. Now a lot of you guys might think this is the male symbol, but this is actually the old chemical symbol of iron. Now a cool thing that Volvo has put is that the release for the hood is right here, so this is the direction of it, so you won't have to forget about it. It's on the right. And then coming on to the Thor's Hammer LED headlights, which don't look like Thor's Hammer in the XC40, more like in the XC90. But you have a Volvo emblem here on the left. Looks really good when they're turned on. And then coming on to the side, now this car doesn't have the two-tone color, it's all black, which I think looks really good with the red interior. You have the 18-inch alloy wheels, which are Sennend rims of the XC40. Quite like the design of this opening for the fuel. And then coming on to the rear, you have this beautifully designed taillights. Of course, they're LED and the XC40. They're quite different from the 60 and the 90. It's a different design. I quite like that. We have the Volvo emblem with the T5 on the right and XC40 on the left. The XC40 is one of the funkiest looking crossovers on sale right now, especially if you choose the right color combinations. In Momentum, you only get the option of a white roof if you want the two-tone look. Opt for the R design, and the roof is finished in glossy black stone along with the door mirror caps. The flagship inscription drops the contrasting colors and goes for a more subtle body colored roof. I tend to call the XC40 a crossover since it is slightly smaller than the X1 and Q3. Interestingly enough, Volvo calls its XC40 a compact crossover SUV, so you name it whatever you want. If you want to stand out, the XC40 is surely a good option, especially with 2 colors. Looking closer at the design of this Swedish crossover, you start picking up things that don't show all that much, but make a lot of difference. The front grille is slightly curved towards the bottom, giving it an edgy look to the front, as well as the aluminum panel on the front bumper. The black paint does a good job in hiding the plastic on the wheel arches, lower door panels and rear bumper. Also part of the funky design is the way the rear door panel curves upwards to blend in with the C-pillar. It gets the sporty rear spoiler that we see on almost all Volvos. So, starting off in the new XC40. Now first impressions, you feel the steering wheel is very light. Now switching through the driving modes, first of all you're going to have it in comfort mode. It's smooth, the gear shifts are really smooth. The XC40 allows you to choose from 4 different driving modes and 1 individual mode for personal preferences. Comfort is the way to go for everyday driving. It sits in between the efficient eco and sporty dynamic mode. We had a lot of uphills on our drive and the XC40 never felt underpowered. In fact, quite the contrary. Now switching to dynamic mode is the sport mode in the XC40, and you directly feel it holds on to gears longer, it downshifts, and then when putting the throttle, accelerations are pretty good and it still holds on to gears very nicely. And you can actually hear the turbo whistle, which is really nice, into the cabin. Now we're going to do a small acceleration. Now as you know, we have a 4-cylinder in this car, 247 horsepower. So let's see how it does in dynamic mode. It's actually really impressive, guys. You wouldn't expect that in XC40. I mean, accelerations is just really different. You forget that you're in an XC40. That's really nice about this car. 0 to 100 in the T5 XC40 is about 6.5 seconds, according to Volvo. It isn't mind-blowing performance, but it still is a good deal for a crossover. There's a hybrid version of the T5 with 262 horsepower and 425 Nm of torque if you want the fastest XC40. Visibility is excellent in the XC40. Rear visibility is pretty good, and I like the fact you get this sleek frameless mirror. Front and side visibility are great, though the C-pillar is relatively chunky, especially with the design of the rear doors, but nothing too annoying. Now in this car we have all-time all-wheel drive for your off-road things. Now it's not meant to go off-road in this car, but it helps you if you got any slip or something, it'll do great. Seating position is good and the seats feel plush and comfortable while driving, though they don't hold me as firmly as they are on the wider side for me. The cabin is calm when cruising, but you're always reminded of the turbocharger sound under acceleration. Now, the other thing I want to talk about are the instrument gauges. When you go to the screen, you have 4 settings to choose from: glass, minimalistic, performance and chrome rings. The performance is, as you would expect, you have the red accents, and it stays the same when you're going through the driving modes, through the 5 driving modes. But what changes is, for example, going into Eco, you'll have the RPM changes, the display changes, so there's that. The last thing I wanted to touch on is Volvo's IntelliSafe Assist. It features adaptive cruise control, pilot assist, curve speed adaptation and distance alert. What all these mean is that your XC40 is capable of keeping you in lane and maintaining a safe distance with the vehicles ahead, as well as braking in case of an emergency. If you're thinking of buying a new crossover and all you need is a safe ride for your family, you're in the right direction. For the first time in a lot of years, Volvo has made safety desirable. It started with the refreshed XC90, but the funky design is reaching all its lineup and becoming part of Volvo. You'll get directly familiar with the simple and classy interior and come to love every cool feature only Volvo can think of. I cannot say the driving experience is a memorable one. It drives smoothly with no obvious faults. But then again, it's not about driving experience in this Volvo, it's about a car that ticks all the boxes for a 2019 crossover. Plus the extra shield perk. You think you don't need it, but when something unfortunate happens, you'll be glad you're in a Volvo. So guys, that's it for today. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe. Until then, take care everybody. See you soon.